Hello all, welcome back to Infinite Loop. As we all know, the global economy is in the shock of COVID-19. But what happens if the shock is double? Yes, the GCC countries are in dual shock. One of pandemic COVID-19 and the other one of drop down of oil prices. The pandemic is having tragic human consequences. Though the containment measures are taken, they have detrimental effects on the global economy. And it affects import-dependent GCC countries. Supply side issues and disruptions create production problems in GCC economies. So change in the pattern of demand along with the shrinking of overall demand affects the economy. So the production and the productivity is dropping down at the same time. Apart from the impact of this pandemic, GCC economies are facing a drastic drop down in the oil prices. It takes the oil prices to its lowest in last 17 years. GCC's trade revenues are oil dependent. Majority of Middle East oil comes from 6 major countries: Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Qatar, Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates. One other country which is affected is the Kingdom of Bahrain. Though Bahrain doesn't have much oil to boost the economy, it is a financial center for all the surrounding oil money. And this success was due to the Islamic banking rules persisting in the country. If the oil price remains at $20 per barrel for the rest of the year, GCC governments could lose $554 million a day. This dual shock has hit all parts of the economy and all elements of the economic cycle. The economic system as a whole itself is at risk. Let's have a look on the knock-on effects of this situation. The outlook is very discouraging. The spread of COVID-19 is likely to keep the oil prices low and reduce global demand for oil. Though in recent years, GCC countries have made considerable efforts to develop travel and tourism to shift their main source of income, we have to see how far it would help them in surviving this critical situation. Because Saudi Arabia has now been forced to suspend travel for Umrah, which attracted around 7.5 million visitors in 2019. Continued travel restriction could affect the ability to perform the Hajj, which will affect one of the main sources of income for Saudi Arabia. Meanwhile, Dubai's tourism season is also experiencing a decline graph. So what is next? The question is whether GCC countries can survive without oil income, or what will be the steps they will be taking to revive the economy. It is suggested that GCC leaders should take 3 steps immediately: to mobilize, stabilize and to strategize. The first would be to mobilize against the pandemic issue. It's true that GCC governments are already taking a range of measures to confront the immediate healthcare aspects of the pandemic, but they still need to increase the focus on expanding the healthcare capacity, which means securing the critical supply chain components, including ventilators and intensive care units, with drastic knock-on effects for those who are seeking the treatment. Second would be to stabilize by throwing economic lifelines to the population, business and financial sectors. All GCC governments have come up with stimulus packages ranging from 2% to 30% of their GDP. For example, United Arab Emirates announced its first stimulus package of 1.5 billion AED on March 12, 2020, which was followed by AED 100 billion on March 14th and AED 16 billion on March 22nd. Such steps are a recognition by governments that the economy may need multiple rounds of stimulus packages in the coming months or maybe even extended to next year. There are 3 main targets that seek stabilization support: population, business and financial institutions. In terms of population, GCC governments need to strengthen social safety nets, enhance consumer protection and pay special attention to vulnerable groups. Though GCC governments have already taken measures such as temporary exemptions and delays of fees and loan repayment and granted extension for residency renewals, they also have to look into securing the salary of private sector workers. For example, GCC governments could adopt the approach of some European countries and offer exceptional paid sick leave and extended medical insurance for those who are sick and quarantined. They can also offer direct cash support to low-income residents facing unemployment. In terms of businesses, GCC governments need to extend immediate assistance to 7 worst affected sectors. These are air transport, hospitality and entertainment, banking and finance, construction and real estate, manufacturing of non-food items, retail and petrochemicals. COVID-19 and the drop in oil price has led to significant demand side and supply side shocks, which will mean that such sectors as petrochemicals will have to endure large and prolonged economic disruption. All support measures must be consistent with long-term economic priorities. GCC government can achieve this by attaching conditions that secure employment and social protection. For example, government can streamline procurement to accelerate the mobilization of demand and resources that will help business. They can also assist with business recovery plans for medium-sized and small-sized organizations. Government can verify the authenticity by providing a checklist asking what type of government support they require, how it will be used, what is their business recovery plans, and if they require any other form of non-financial support. In terms of financial institutions, swift and decisive action is vital to prevent a deepening of economic problems. GCC governments have already introduced measures to cut costs on banks, increase the liquidity of financial institutions, support capital markets, and relax restrictions on lending. But it is essential to accompany these measures with significant awareness campaigns so that the population and business understand that they can have confidence in the financial system, which will have a positive impact on the economic influence. And the third is to strategize for a sustainable recovery. GCC governments really need to have a plan to revive the economy. The health emergency will eventually subside, but they have to get the economy transformation. There are 6 action areas for a sustainable recovery. To develop macro, fiscal and labor policies for growth and resilience. Shift vision realization tactics. Foster innovation. Improve government effectiveness. Intensify push for private sector participation. Promote trade, open markets, investments and competition. The dual shock of COVID-19 and lower oil prices will eventually end. But by taking decisive steps now, GCC countries can keep their economic development on track. They can lay the groundwork for a sustainable economic recovery powered by diversification and innovation. But until we see a green line, everything is a question mark. So let's remain positive. Thanks for watching, take care and bye-bye.